these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Ryan Wilson is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. Bionic Bro Mando has a best lap time of 2:38.989.
There is always more time to be found, but Bionic is not guaranteed to find it.
Bionic Bro Mando has a best lap time of 2:38.989.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Ryan Wilson is on his practice out lap. MkII just posted a 2:21.412 crossing start finish. MkII posted 2:21.412 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. MkII has a best lap time of 2:21.412.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Ryan Wilson is on his first practice flying lap. Ryan Wilson is in double gauche. Bionic Bro Mando has a best lap time of 2:34.689.
Bro Mando is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Bionic just posted a 2:34.689 crossing start finish. Wilson is getting to grips with the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder in this practice session. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Crow is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Jake Feemster is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Asatic Streaming is on his practice out lap. Get ready for some high-octane action as the drivers take on the challenge of qualifying at ASRL Spa. You can feel the tension building. Jake Feemster is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. The adrenaline is pumping. Bjorn Himmen is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
This is the moment he's been preparing for. Let's see if he can execute.
Bjorn Himmen appears focused and prepared driving through Eau Rouge. Bjorn Himmen is expertly commanding that car through Les Combes. Malero is on his out lap. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Bruxelles. It looks like Jake Feemster is getting ready to make his move. He's taking his time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Feemster handles it.
Jake Feemster is driving through double gauche.
If Feemster listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
Jake Feemster is working his way through Corb Paul Frere. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sketty is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right. Sketty is keeping his head down through Blanchimont.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the cars speed by.
Sketty crosses the start-finish line at the end of his outlap. This is where the mental game comes into play. Bionic Bro Mando is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run. Bionic Bro Mando is looking relatively composed going through Les Combs. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through double gauche.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. David Zahn is driving through Fanes. David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through Blanchimont. You can feel the tension building. Bionic Bro Mando is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal. But I have a feeling Bionic is going to make it count.
Bionic Bro Mando has completed his outlap. David Zahn will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings.
Dave certainly is nailing this one. This is shaping up to be a great performance.
David Zahn appears focused and prepared driving through Eau Rouge. David Zahn is keeping his head down through Les Combs.
Fans sitting near Les Combs get some of the best views of the action.
It's clear that Stefano Amadei is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Bjorn Hemmen is nailing both.
It's certainly exciting to watch. But let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Stefano Amadei is rising to the occasion. Stefano Amadei is working his way through Kemmel Straight.
There's a spot near here where the teenagers sneak off to make out.
That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Bruxelles.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
This is what it's all about. Adam is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Adam is driving through Corb Paul Frere. Adam has just completed a lap in 2:17.687. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. Stefano Amadei is on his first flying lap. Bjorn Himmen will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings. Bjorn Himmen just clocked a 2:22.361, 4.674 off of P1 and good enough for P8. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. David Zahn is up 0.26. David Zahn is currently up 0.24 going through Bruxelles. It's clear that Kevin Lekmansky is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap. Kevin Lekmansky appears focused and prepared driving through Fanes. Kevin Lekmansky has improved by 0.79 up through Blanchimont.
There's no guarantee that Lekmansky can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
Kevin Lekmansky has just completed that lap in 2:19.492, which is 1.805 off the best time, putting him in P3. Stefano Amadei is keeping his head down through Blanchimont.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, Blanchimont has it all.
Stefano Amadei has some work to do, as his best time of 2:20.312 is only good enough for 7th. Stefano Amadei is looking relatively composed going through Eau Rouge.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
Jake Feemster is 0.24 up driving through Les Combes.
If Jake gets greedy, this delta could go from green to red in the blink of an eye.
Jake Feemster is expertly commanding that car through double gauche. Jake Feemster has completed his first flying lap in 5:08.474. Stefano Amadei is driving through campus. Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for fourth in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 2.336 gap to pole.
David Zahn is up 0.28. David Zahn is now up 0.37 in Les Combs. David Zahn is in the green by 0.59, making his way through double gauche. David Zahn is currently up 0.71 going through campus. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. Crow is currently in 10th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess his competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start.
Couldn't agree more, Hal. Crow is positioned impressively in 10th. Now, he'll need to build on this foundation and strive for an even better race result.
What a performance from Adam, currently in second on the grid. It's a good spot for now, but other drivers are trying their hardest to put in a better time and push him down the order. Adam has improved by 0.5 up through Blanchimont. Adam is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 2:16.869. Crow has secured a respectable 10th in the qualifying session. This is a great spot to use as a launchpad for a strong race performance.
Great analysis, Hal. Crow has shown excellent pace to secure 10th. Now, the focus shifts to whether he can use that track position to his advantage in the race.
Crow is driving through Corb Paul Frere and is up 1.89. Crow has some work to do, as his best time of 2:21.169 is only good enough for 8th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 4.3 gap to pole.
Crow is 1.18 up driving through Fanes. Incredible drive by Jake Feemster so far, earning him 6th. The competition is fierce, however, and he'll need to quickly find more time to get even closer to the sharp end of the grid.
You're spot on, Hal. Jake's current position of 6th is a testament to his skills and determination. Now, there is the challenge of maintaining his position against hungry rivals.
It hasn't been the best qualifying session for Bionic Bro Mando so far. He's in 11th position, which is not where he hoped to be.
Spot on analysis, Hal. It's been a difficult qualifying session for Bro Mando, but he shouldn't lose hope just yet. With all that talent and determination, there's a chance for a comeback, and it'll be exciting to see how this adversity is managed behind the wheel.
Bionic Bro Mando has some work to do, as his best time of 2:25.848 is only good enough for 11th. It's a beautifully calm day here at ASRL Spa, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is the best possible outcome for Ryan Wilson.
The pressure's on now. Let's see if any of the other drivers can challenge for this spot at the start.
Starting on the front row is a great opportunity for Adam to challenge for the lead.
This is a great place to be, but there's always the threat of drivers right behind getting a better start and a slipstream into the first turn.
At third, we have the one and only David Zahn.
It's like he's on the outside looking in, close enough to see the front without actually being there.
The fourth place on the grid belongs to Kevin Lekmansky, a driver with plenty of experience.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
Starting from 7th on the grid is a good position for Sketty to launch an attack.
It's the standards tires for Sketty.
Crow is placed in 8th. In the middle of the pack, we have Simon of the Desert starting from the 9th position on the grid. Sitting in 10th is Bjorn Hemmen. Starting from 11th on the grid is a tough ask for Bionic Bro Mando, but he's up for the challenge.
Bro Mando has been looking strong all week. Expect big things.
The lights are off, the gloves are on, and it's go time.
These opening moments can make or break a driver's race. Strategy and skill are key to navigating this intense start.
The pressure is on when the field is this tightly packed. Maintaining just enough aggression to hold off their rivals without pushing too hard will help these drivers keep it clean.
It all comes down to this, Hal, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can. Now it comes down to Wilson to bring it home.
There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is feeling out the drivers around them.
What a beautiful day for racing here at ASRL Spa. This is going to be good to watch.
Races are often more about maintaining consistency than having outright pace, but it doesn't hurt to have a little good luck every now and then. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today.
Every corner, every lap, and every race is a chance for these drivers to hone their abilities and improve their skills.
The racing is normally closely fought here at ASRL Spa. I think we are in for a cracking race. As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at ASRL for making this all possible. Heroes one and all.
Let's hope everyone is able to stay focused for the challenge ahead.
It's a solid performance from Bjorn Hemmen at the moment. He's holding his position and not getting too caught up in battles around him.
That's the mark of a good driver. Bjorn Hemmen is staying focused on his own race and not getting distracted.
The pursuit is on. Simon of the Desert is closing the gap on Bjorn Hemmen, determined to claim P5. We got a close battle as Bionic Bro Mando closes in on Kevin Lekmansky.
This battle between Bionic Bro Mando and Kevin is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
Breaking update. Looks like that's a mistake from Ryan Wilson. This could be costly.
Ryan is not going to be happy about that.
The adrenaline is pumping as Jake Feemster gets within striking distance of Ryan Wilson in their race for second. Jake Feemster appears to be losing ground on Ryan Wilson. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Kemmel Straight to get a good exit and gain some ground.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
The race is really heating up. Simon of the Desert is hunting down Kevin Lekmansky with everything he's got. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Stefano Amadei is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Bionic Bro Mando at the moment.
Stefano needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Bionic.
Crow has the pedal to the metal chasing Bjorn Hemmen. Braking development. Hard break for Crow, as they slip down the field.
For sure, Hal, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Bjorn Hemmen is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at ASRL. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Wait, I don't think that's the fastest way around ASRL Spa. Stefano Amadei is giving it his all chasing down Bionic Bro Mando in P10. The gap between Stefano Amadei and Bionic Bro Mando is getting smaller. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. This is a thrilling battle as Sketty edges closer to Simon of the Desert in their fight for P6.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Sketty is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Simon.
Bionic Bro Mando is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. It's not looking good for Bionic Bro Mando, who is still behind Stefano Amadei, and the gap is increasing.
This is a tough situation for Bionic. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
Hold the phone. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Sketty gaining places and Simon of the Desert losing them. Wow, Sketty is really pushing hard to catch up to Simon of the Desert.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Sketty and Simon both need to stay cool under pressure.
The battle for P7 is heating up as David Zahn tries to catch Simon of the Desert in P7. David Zahn has just put in a faster lap than Simon of the Desert, so that's going to give him something to worry about. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving. Stop the press. Oh dear, Bionic Bro Mando has had an incident.
ASRL Spa is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes. It's a pleasure to be here today, Hal. You really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
David Zahn wants to find a way round Simon of the Desert.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
David Zahn is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. I love being here at ASRL Spa. What an awesome place to be witnessing these titans of the track battle it out.
Indeed, Hal, what a magnificent sight and sound. I love listening to the roar of these engines. Let's just listen for a moment.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Crow. The gap between Sketty and Crow is widening. It's now up to 1.0 seconds. David Zahn is on a mission, chasing Simon of the Desert, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It looks like David Zahn is making a move. The gap to Simon of the Desert is now down to 0.3 seconds.
Exactly what Dave needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Simon.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Stefano Amadei is chasing Bjorn Himmen in P9.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Look at that. Sketty is hot on the tail of Crow.
Sketty is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curves and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
The pressure is on as David Zahn tries to catch up to Simon of the Desert.
We'll have to wait to see if Dave can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Every move counts now as Stefano Amadei works to reel in Bjorn Himmen and overtake for P9. It looks like Bjorn Himmen is pulling away from Stefano Amadei. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Bruxelles. Crow is running 6th, and trying to catch Sketty. The pursuit is on. David Zahn is closing the gap on Simon of the Desert, determined to claim P7. Wait. Great driving from David Zahn, who has just gained a place and moved up to 7th.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. David should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Simon.
Hold on a moment. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 1 kph out there right now.
Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Bjorn Himmen. Crow is looking for a way to close that gap to Sketty. It's certainly not going to plan for Crow right now, who is struggling to keep up with Sketty. Ada, how do racing drivers like yourself train to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation, Hal. Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
The pressure is on as Stefano Amadei works on catching up to Bjorn Himmen. It seems like Stefano Amadei has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Bjorn Himmen's lap time there.
The question now is, can Bjorn Himmen respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure. The gap between Sketty and Crow is pretty substantial right now.
It's probably going to take a mistake from Sketty to even allow Crow to get a look in. It's not going to plan for Crow, who is trailing behind Sketty and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
This is a frustrating situation for Crow, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Sketty.
We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race as Bjorn Himmen is starting to climb all over the back of Stefano Amadei. Any closer and he may need to pop the boot. Stefano Amadei is not able to keep his pace consistent, and is currently 0.98 seconds down. The delta between Jake Feemster in third and Ryan Wilson remains over a second, but Jake Feemster is not letting up. Stop the press. That won't be ideal for Jake Feemster.
Oops, Jake is going to be wishing that hadn't happened. This is where experience comes into play. Wilson has been in this situation before and knows how to defend for position, but Jake is hungry for success and won't give up easily.
Sketty is staying focused while chasing Jake Feemster in P4. Braking alert. Big gains for Sketty as they move up the field, leaving Jake Feemster behind.
Absolutely. Sketty is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead. It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Sketty is really walking that fine line.
Jake Feemster is trying his best to catch Sketty. It's game on now. Jake Feemster has closed the gap to Sketty. It's now down to 0.1 seconds. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Crow needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Jake Feemster with everything he's got. Sketty appears to be losing ground on Jake Feemster. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Bruxelles to get a good exit and gain some ground. In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
As a former driver, I can tell you there's nothing quite like the adrenaline rush when you're this close to your rival, ready to make your move.
Sketty is giving it his all chasing down Jake Feemster in P4. Sketty is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Jake Feemster at the moment. The pursuit is on. Crow is working on that gap to Sketty, determined to claim P5.
With just 0.6 seconds between them, Crow will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
It's not looking good for Crow, who is still behind Sketty and the gap is increasing.
Crow needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. David Zahn is breathing down the neck of Crow, not giving him any room to relax. Stop the press. Superb driving from David Zahn, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Absolutely. David is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy. If things go wrong between David and Crow, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chat.
Looks like Crow is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. The racing is getting tight between Crow and Zahn as they battle for P6. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It seems like Sketty is getting in range of Jake Feemster.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
This is a thrilling battle as Crow edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P6.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Crow needs to stay patient and wait for Zahn to make a mistake.
rising to the occasion and claiming victory would hope to cement Sketty's legendary status. Hold up, breaking info. I don't think that's the fastest way around a SRL spa.
Crow is not going to be happy about that. This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
It's an intense battle for position as Sketty tries to outmaneuver Jake Feemster. This is edge of your seat racing.
It's a battle of nerves now. Sketty and Feemster are both pushing hard, but need to avoid mistakes that might cost them time or positions.
The gap between Sketty and Jake Feemster is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. Braking alert. A setback for Sketty, who has just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating. But Sketty is a skilled driver, and he's got what it takes to battle back up the field.
Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. Oh, this is getting intense. Sketty needs to keep Crow in his sights.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Crow.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Sketty needs to be careful not to overdo it.
It seems like Sketty is pushing hard, currently on track to record his best lap so far this race. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
David Zahn is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
This is where every inch counts. Dave is pushing hard to close the gap on Feemster. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Sketty wants to get into Crow's slipstream.
It looks like Sketty has the speed to make a move. I just hope he can do it cleanly.
The pressure is on as David Zahn tries to catch up to Jake Feemster. Good news for David Zahn. The gap to Jake Feemster has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
Things are heating up as Sketty tries to close the gap to Crow. Hold the phone. Fantastic move from Jake Feemster, who has just gained a position.
Impressive. Feemster is really showing his skill and determination out there.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect. Let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned off-track excursions.
Hold on a moment. And David Zahn has just won the place from Jake Feemster. It's a thrilling pursuit as David Zahn is right behind Jake Feemster, keeping the pressure on for fourth place.
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting with the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session with the wall.
A tough moment for David Zahn, who has just lost a place, now in fifth. Sketty is on a mission, chasing Crow, who's currently got a comfortable lead. David Zahn wants to close that gap with Jake Feemster.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
David Zahn could be on a charge here, Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Jake Feemster.
As long as David can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Sketty is on a mission, chasing Crow, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Sketty is looking to close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. David Zahn is chasing Jake Feemster in P4.
The mental game is just as important here. David must keep his cool while putting pressure on Jake.
Every move counts now as Sketty works to reel in Crow and overtake for P6.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
It's a game of inches now as David Zahn tails Jake Feemster closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
Sketty is running 7th and trying to catch Crow.
Sketty needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Crow.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Kevin Lekmanski is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Ryan Wilson to 0.2 seconds. The race is really heating up. Jake Feemster is hunting down David Zahn with everything he's got.
It's a game of strategy now as Feemster hunts down Zahn.
Breaking alert. A great moment for Jake Feemster, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Kevin Lekmanski is looking for a way round Ryan Wilson.
There is no room for error in this battle.
The battle for P4 is heating up as David Zahn tries to catch Jake Feemster in P4.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. David should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Feemster.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Ryan Wilson is right on the heels of Kevin Lekmanski, and we're in for a wild ride. Breaking news, folks. A brilliant maneuver from Ryan Wilson, who has just moved up the field. I'm sure David Zahn in 4th is starting to notice Jake Feemster is right on his tail, and is still closing the gap.
Yeah, Feemster is likely going to be sniffing up the inside of Zahn as they come into Bruxelles.
Oh, this is getting intense. Kevin Lekmanski is just behind Ryan Wilson. Hold on a second. A great pass for Kevin Lekmanski, swapping places with Ryan Wilson to move up the field.
And it's not just about skill and talent. It's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time.
Hold on a moment. Looks like that's a mistake from Adam. This could be costly.
ASRL Spa is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Stefano Amadei. It looks like Adam has found another gear in the last sector of the race.
He'll be the one celebrating at the finish line.
And there it is. Adam has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match. Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Kevin Lekmanski certainly doesn't see it that way. He put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of his podium finish. What a race from Ryan Wilson. He kept his cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
Jake Feemster, Sketty, Crow, and Bionic Bro Mando take 4th, 5th, 6th, and 10th. 7th, 8th, and 9th sees David Zahn, Simon of the Desert, and Stefano Amadei. Finishing 11th is Bjorn Himmen. It's a very still day here at ASRL Spa, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Bjorn Hemmen will be feeling confident starting from pole position.
Bjorn Hemmen is sure to be excited at his prospects for this race.
Bionic Bro Mando is starting this race on the front row.
He can't count his chickens before they've hatched. There is a long way to go.
We're seeing Stefano Amadei in the third spot.
Like many others, Stefano is starting the race on the Standards tire compound.
On the fourth grid slot we have Simon of the Desert.
Simon is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
Holding strong in fifth place is David Zahn.
Another good start for the American driver.
Starting from the sixth position on the grid, we have Crow.
Putting that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder into prime position for the race.
Lining up in seventh is Sketty. Starting from the eighth position, Jake Feemster will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. Our ninth place starter, Ryan Wilson, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track.
Ryan does not always keep it clean, but when they do, they excel at gaining positions.
On the 10th grid slot we have Kevin Lekmanski.
Lining up in the mid-pack.
Adam is in a solid position starting from 11th on the grid.
Let's hope Adam can keep it clean and make up some spots.
The lights are out and it's go time.
Avoiding contact while trying to gain position is essential. The first lap is often where we see incidents that can change the course of the race.
The tensions are high, and no one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap. I think passing is going to be difficult today here at ASRL Spa, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on. Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? Simon of the Desert will be studying the nearby drivers and looking for anything that could give them an advantage.
The first lap can always be a bit of a melee as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
As the tires come up to temp, their available grip is changing, and the drivers that manage this transition best are likely to make progress through the field.
With this motley bunch of drivers there is bound to be drama. I just hope we don't miss it.
Out of the gates, and Adam is already turning heads and gaining positions.
They say fortune favors the bold, and Adam is certainly proving that with this explosive start.
Having started in P8, Jake Feemster will be hoping for a good result in this race. Kevin Lekmanski has got off to a great early start, already gaining places. Gotta be very pleased with that.
It's early days yet, but if he can maintain this effort then it puts him in a strong position for the race.
It's been a solid race so far for Simon of the Desert. He's holding his position and keeping a steady pace.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result. Simon just needs to stay focused and avoid any mistakes.
Oh, this is getting intense. Ryan Wilson is just a few car lengths behind Simon of the Desert.
Wilson is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
This is what makes motor racing so exciting. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher. I would not bet on either racer at this point, as it's too close to call.
Stop the press. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. Look at that. Ryan Wilson is hot on the tail of Sketty. Kevin MkII has a battle on his hands now, coming through Radalon with Adam hot on his tail. It's true what they say, Ada, you're never completely useless.
Indeed, Hal, you can always be used as a bad example. Yes, he's got to dig deep and find some extra speed if they want to get back into contention. But Adam is really on a roll right now and is making some great moves. It's going to be a fascinating battle from here on out.
The intensity is off the charts as Adam hounds Bionic Bro Mando, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
It's a battle for position as Sketty tries to make a move on Kevin. This is what racing is all about.
It's all eyes on this battle as Ryan Wilson in 7th tries to hold off the challenge of Simon of the Desert. The gap between Simon of the Desert and Ryan Wilson is razor thin as they vie for 7th in this nail-biting contest. It looks like Ryan Wilson is pulling away from Simon of the Desert. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through double gauche. The pressure is really on for Adam in 4th as Kevin MkII is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. Breaking news, folks. Look at this, Ada, what a shame for Adam. He's lost P4 to Kevin MkII and that's got to hurt.
Indeed, he's been trying so hard to hold his position, but the other drivers are just too strong. Meanwhile, Kevin is showing some great pace. If Kevin gets any closer to the back of Adam, then one of them is gonna need some lube if they want to take this further.
Breaking development. Disappointing for Simon of the Desert, falling down the order to 10th. Simon of the Desert is running 9th and trying to keep up with Ryan Wilson.
No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Hold the phone. It's looking good for Bionic Bro Mando, who has gained a place after passing Sketty. Bionic Bro Mando could be looking for a way up the inside of Sketty.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble at the boundary of disaster.
Sketty is trying his best to catch Bionic Bro Mando. An impressive showing from Sketty, who has gained positions and left Bionic Bro Mando in the dust.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
Bionic Bro Mando is looking for a way to close that gap to Sketty. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
It looks like we might get a battle between Adam and Crow.
That's a great effort from Adam. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
We're watching Crow in 6th, and is currently being hounded by Adam with a gap of just 0.2 seconds. Hold on a second. Oh dear, Bjorn Hemmen has had an incident. They're going side by side, door handle to door handle. This is as close as it gets, folks. I would not be surprised if these drivers swap positions a few times before the order gets ultimately decided.
No doubt about it, Hal. The battle for supremacy between these drivers is fierce. The way they navigate through those tight corners is a testament to their skill and determination.
The crowd is on its feet as Adam chases down Crow through double gauche. Braking development. I don't think that's the fastest way around ASRL Spa.
That's right, Adam is determined to pass Crow and secure a higher position.
I think Adam is going to try and outbrake ASRL T70 MkII Spyder as they come into Corb Paul Frere. This could gain him the place, but it may all end badly.
Yeah, I really can't see him holding on to this place for much longer.
The pursuit is on. Adam is closing the gap on Crow, determined to claim P5. Wait, it's a tale of two drivers right now, with Adam gaining places and Crow losing them.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Adam is really walking that fine line.
Braking development. Big gains for Crow as they move up the field, leaving Adam behind. Oh my, Crow is hot on the tail of Adam as they drive through chicane.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Crow is taking that advice to heart today.
It's a close race between Adam and Crow in fifth.
Adam is so close to Crow that if this were a dance floor, they'd be doing the tango.
It's a tense battle for position between Jake Feemster in 8th and Ryan Wilson in 9. Jake Feemster is keeping Ryan Wilson at bay with a gap of 0.1 seconds. Impressive driving from Jake Feemster, who has managed to extend his lead over Ryan Wilson. It looks like Ryan Wilson will have to regroup and try to make up that lost ground. Braking alert. That won't be ideal for Bionic Bro Mando.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result. That's a really strong performance from Feemster. He's not giving Wilson any chances to catch up.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Hold up, braking info. Tough break for Jake Feemster, who has just lost a position.
Definitely, but Jake is a skilled driver and has what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Bionic Bro Mando as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
It seems like Bionic Bro Mando is struggling and not able to maintain his pace. Simon of the Desert is placed 8th at the moment.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Simon has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Braking development. Hard break for Simon of the Desert, as they slip down the field. Oh, the pressure is really getting to Simon of the Desert. He just lost 9th position to Bjorn Himmen and really needs to regroup quickly. Looks like Jake Feemster is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
It's not going to plan for Jake Feemster, who is trailing behind Crow and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely, they're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
The pressure is on as Ryan Wilson tries to catch up to Jake Feemster.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, Wilson will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
The gap between Ryan Wilson and Jake Feemster is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Wilson needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Jake.
Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
You can wish all you want, but I don't think that's how racing works, Ada. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right, but wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for high fives and fist bumps?
Ryan Wilson is staying focused while chasing Jake Feemster in P5.
He's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
It's certainly not going to plan for Ryan Wilson right now, who is struggling to keep up with Jake Feemster.
This is not ideal for Ryan, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
Crow is pushing to maintain the lead, while Jake Feemster is working to close in and challenge for the position.
Crow is not going to give up his position easily.
Jake Feemster needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Ada. He's just put in a slower lap than Crow.
It will be interesting to see if Crow can keep outpacing Feemster.
Ada. What's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Hal. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
It's looking good for David Zahn, sitting in first. He can't hold on. David Zahn is losing time to Kevin Lekmansky. The drivers have been working hard to come up with the perfect race strategy. They've been looking at the weather, the track conditions and the performance of their cars.
Now it's time to put that strategy into action and see if it pays off.
Jake Feemster is giving it his all, chasing down Crow in P4. It's not looking good for Jake Feemster, who is still behind Crow, and the gap is increasing. Anyone who says that ASRL is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
The pressure is on as Adam works on catching up to Ryan Wilson. It looks like Adam is making a move. The gap to Ryan Wilson is now down to 0.4 seconds. The race is really heating up. Jake Feemster is hunting down Crow with everything he's got. Wow, it's a close race for fourth. Crow is barely ahead with Jake Feemster right on his tail. A gap of only 0.1 seconds. Braking development. Oh dear, Crow has dropped down to fifth.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
A tough moment for Crow, who has just lost a place, now in seventh. This is a thrilling battle as Ryan Wilson edges closer to Adam in their fight for P5. Ryan Wilson is not able to keep his pace consistent, and is currently 1.0 seconds down. The crowd is on the edge of their seats as Adam in fifth chases after Jake Feemster.
Absolutely. Adam in fifth will need to be patient and work carefully to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as he can't afford to take unnecessary risks, and that might lead to an off or damaging their car.
Hold on a second. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. Well, it doesn't look like Adam is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Jake Feemster. Looking at the lap times, Adam is not currently on pace with Jake Feemster. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. In your experience, Ada, what was the most challenging aspect of maintaining concentration during a race?
The most challenging aspect, Hal, was managing the various inputs and distractions during the race, from radio communication with the team to monitoring car performance and race strategy. It's a delicate balancing act that requires immense mental discipline.
Adam has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Jake Feemster. I expect his only hope at this point is that Jake makes an error. A strong showing from Jake Feemster, who is currently fourth. It seems like Jake Feemster is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Adam.
Hopefully Feemster can find some of that missing time and get it back.
You know, Ada, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Hal. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
It looks like Adam is pushing hard to catch up to Jake Feemster.
It's going to be tough for Adam, as Feemster seems to have found his rhythm.
It's game on now. Adam has closed the gap to Jake Feemster. It's now down to 1.1 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
All joking aside, I bet they were. Things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Oh, this is getting intense. Adam needs to keep Jake Feemster in his sights. This is where the race gets really interesting. Simon of the Desert is closing in on Bionic Bro Mando. The gap between Simon of the Desert and Bionic Bro Mando is getting smaller.
This is what racing is all about, hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
In your experience, Ada, what was the most important aspect of managing tire degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Hal, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
The gap between Jake Feemster and Adam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Jake to even allow Adam to get a look in. Simon of the Desert is running 9th, and trying to catch Bionic Bro Mando. Hold up, breaking info. What a move. Simon of the Desert has moved up to 8th.
The racing is getting tight between Simon and Bionic as they battle for P8. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
The race is really heating up. Adam is hunting down Jake Feemster with everything he's got. The gap between Adam and Jake Feemster is growing. It's now up to 0.8 seconds.
This is where the mental toughness of Adam comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
Simon of the Desert is having to make that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder as wide as possible to try and keep Bionic Bro Mando behind him. The crowd is on their feet, roaring with excitement. It's an all-out war between these three drivers. I can only hope the netcode keeps up with their fearlessness.
Absolutely, Hal. The energy in the crowd is electric, and it's no wonder why. These drivers are leaving it all on the track, fighting tooth and nail for victory. It's anyone's guess who will come out on top.
Bionic Bro Mando is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Simon of the Desert at the moment.
Bro Mando needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Simon.
Every move counts now as Adam works to reel in Jake Feemster and overtake for P4. It's not going to plan for Adam, who is trailing behind Jake Feemster and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. The pursuit is on. Adam is working on that gap to Jake Feemster, determined to claim P4. Things are going according to plan for David Zahn, who is currently first.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Adam needs to stay patient and wait for Feemster to make a mistake.
Good news for Adam, the gap to Jake Feemster has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
Exactly what Adam needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Feemster.
Things are heating up as Adam tries to close the gap to Jake Feemster.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure Stefano Amadei is going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. He's not giving up without a fight.
We know Bro Mando isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate, Stefano is going to have to take it.
The battle for P4 is heating up as Adam tries to catch Jake Feemster in P4.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds.
It seems like Adam is struggling and not able to maintain his pace.
I heard a rumor that Adam is feeling under the weather, likely from too much partying and staying up late.
As a former driver, Ada, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Hal. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
On the final lap now, and David Zahn might just wrap up this win. What a win! This is a historic moment for David Zahn, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision.
Dave is not leaving anything on the table.
What a drive from Kevin Lekmansky, securing a great second-place finish.
Brilliant. Lekmansky showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Sketty, showing his skill and determination for a great third-place finish.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Jake Feemster, Adam, and Crow in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Seventh is Simon of the Desert. Coming in 8th we have Bionic Bro Mando. It's a lovely day for racing here at ASRL Spa as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.